All right, how's everyone doing? I am Rich CELENZA. Thanks for checking out my show. So this is a follow-up, actually, to a couple different podcasts I did. One I originally did with my co-host Robert Beninati on, what's the word I'm looking here? Shopper's remorse, and how a lot of people buy things, get caught up in the moment, end up spending a lot more money, and then they bring it home or they purchase. It could be a big ticket item, and before you know it, they're way over their head, or they purchase something that's not worth as much as they thought, or it's devaluing instead of appreciating. And he brought up a word, being aware of your emotions when purchasing things, and it really kind of hit me. So I did a podcast on, excuse me, when purchasing things, to be very aware of your emotions, to pay attention that you're not getting caught up in the moment, especially when maybe buying a car or a home, a boat or a motorcycle, whatever the case may be, making sure you get a deal, hopefully, but also you can afford it. You also are able to maintain it to what you want to maintain it to, and also that you don't get killed financially on it, or you have to pay a lot of interest. A lot of people just get caught up again and will pay whatever the hell, whatever the price is sometimes, even though they can't necessarily afford it. And on this one, it's more about selling. Because I think, again, on the flip side of this, a lot of people get very emotional when selling. The one thing I talk a lot about with people is how they really undervalue what other people have, like what they think it's worth. But then when it comes to their own things, they overvalue. So basically, whatever they're buying, they're devaluing. Whatever they have, they're overvaluing. And I see this a lot. You may see this too, and you may be one of these people. Let's face it. Like when you're selling your home, you think it's worth this amount of money. And then when you're going to purchase a home, you're kind of nickel and diming it to death, saying there's no way I'd pay anywhere near that type of money, right? You've been there. I don't care if it's a car, a motorcycle, whatever the case may be, jewelry. I think we all have been in this situation. But I think people, when selling things, and I start with clothing a lot of times because I talk a lot about resale and consignment, and even jewelry at times, how a lot of things depreciate and they're not worth nearly what you paid for them. All right, now certain pieces, sure. Certain unique things, of course, they may hold their value or even appreciate. But a lot of things, or most things you are buying, I don't care if it's a lawnmower, I don't care if it's a tool, I don't care what the hell it is, it's going to devalue. It's not going to be worth that much. Now, I'd say, especially with cars, people really underestimate how much money they'll lose on a car. Again, not if it's a vintage or a collector or something very unique. I'm not saying that, but you really got to understand when you're buying a car, a lot of times you are getting the shit kicked out of you. Not only pulling it off the lot, it being devalued, then you having to maintain this car, and then even most likely when you go to sell it or trade it in, unless you keep it really low miles and pretty mint, you're going to probably get hit pretty hard on it. I mean, here's one thing I used to tell people a lot of times, and they just don't get it. When you go in to buy a car, your payment, you may be like, oh yeah, this is how much I want to spend. That's it. There's a lot more to it. Don't just say I want to spend only $400 a month on a car, because you just got to pay attention. I don't want you to get beat up on the interest. I don't want you to get beat up on the price of the car, because most car dealerships are going to try to get the most amount of money out of you as possible. That's how they survive. Don't kid yourself. I mean, I'm sure there's some good guys out there. There are. I know some that want to give you a pretty decent deal. But overall, they make money on the car, on the interest, and the service, and so on. But back to selling. And here's a trick I'll tell you right now, which I found interesting with my uncle when selling a car. And I'll just use this for an example. Is a lot of times when you go to sell something, right, you get aggravated because you got it at a certain price, and you may go through this on Craigslist, or you may go through this on selling things online where, you put it up for sale for $1,000, right? And somebody comes back to you, $500, $400, $300. You're like, I want $1,000. You're maybe even considering like $900 or even $850 or something, but they're lowballing the shit, and you're getting mad. You're getting very emotional because truthfully, maybe it is worth that. It may be. You may be overvaluing it. They are super devaluing it, but you get aggravated and you get mad. And here's back to what my uncle used to do with a car, because he didn't want all the aggravation. In the old days, they didn't have the internet. So you had to call, and if you were selling your car, someone had to come to your home, most likely, or your workplace. You'd had to meet them, get in the car, if you wanted to sell it outright instead of trading it in. But what he did, I found quite interesting, and it's kind of like eBay. But he would say, hey, I'm selling my car. I'm showing my car on Saturday from 4 to 6. You want it? Come and look at it. You give me the price I want for it, I'll give it to you. If not, take it from there. So what would happen is that would be it. All of a sudden, at that time, whoever was truly interested would rearrange their schedule and show up. You'd be shocked at how many people showed. Not only that, not only did he always get his asking price, sometimes he'd get more because people would actually, this sounds crazy, start bidding on his car. Now, he owned a gas station, and I think he also knew about, car auctions and things. So he kind of brought that concept where, instead of, again, meeting one person at a time, them trying to chisel you down in a price, he's like, here's the car. Who wants it? This is the price. Now, they may have been throwing different prices at him, but like I said, one guy, say the car's worth 10 grand, someone's like, hey, I'll give you 9 grand. He's waiting, the next guy says, hey, I'll give you 9,400. The next guy's like, I'll give him 96. I like it. So they almost start nitpicking each other and not him. They almost start going that route. And again, taking out the emotional aspect of it is really what I'm talking about when selling things. That's what I want to get to here. Don't take things personal when selling your stuff. All right? I know a lot of times we value things. And here's the deal. If you don't want to get rid of something, don't get rid of it. Unless you can't afford it, obviously. But I'm saying a lot of things people get rid of personally hurts them. But I also think a lot of people hold on to way too much shit. I'm just telling you right now. If you have a storage unit that's, I don't know how big it is, but after a certain amount of time, if you're paying per month, you're not using these things, and unless it's a collector or they're appreciating, you really got to pay attention to what really is a value to you. And is it more of a value or is it more of an expense? If you're in that hoarder type environment situation, maybe even in your house, you may consider getting rid of things. And again, I get it's an emotional bond that you have with a lot of your possessions. But, I'm kind of a minimalist now. And I'm going to tell you something. It's one of the best things that I've ever done in my life. So if you are kind of caught between being very emotional when buying or even selling, because you feel like you're getting rid of a lot of things that are a part of your past, or maybe you think one day in the future it'll be worth a lot of money. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But just be very aware that emotionally where you stand. In the decisions you make, make sure you stand behind them, especially when selling your things. Because I do think a lot of people sell things and they regret it. But I also think a lot of people hold on to too many things and they also regret it as well. So just pay attention to these things, all right? Got any questions or comments, you can hit me up. I actually try to help men live an incredible life affordably. And I have a program on that. But if you have any questions or comments, please hit me up. I'm at richcelenza.com is my website. And if you want to reach me, I'm rich@richcelenza.com. Take care.